First, set the table, board members, and for those in the audience, with some housekeeping items. For those in the public, please keep your participation on mute. And for those on the phone, please use *6 to mute and unmute. You'll hear comments first from the board and then from the public by raising your hand. Our purpose is to advance justice, reinvestment, and protect community investments. Some of our responsibilities include, first of all, recommend program-related policy around both existing and new funding opportunities with a focus on evidence practices, both local, regional, and national. We're trying to progress in innovation and recommendations for implementation. Secondly, our purpose is to engage providers to educate CAB and community members about their work, outcome, needs, and recommendations. Thirdly, we promote a structure for and implementation of a comprehensive need assessment for the county's reentry populations. What's working, what's needed, also to inform future program recommendations and funding allocations. Last but not least, our goal is to participate in program and service-related RFP development processes and panels by assignment from community chair and or the community advisory board overall. We are definitely grateful for those who are members of this committee and so appreciate their time and commitment. I'd like to take a moment now to thank all of my cohort constituents here in the room and those who are in the galley. Thank you for your continued prayers and support through my transitioning as I recovered. I appreciate you all immensely for your continued support and your warmth and outpouring of love. I could not have done it without you. Thank you. Moving on with our introductions. First of all, I'd like to go around the room with Garyana's assistance, our program and services members, our CAB members, our staff, and others. Garyana.
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Ozzy, would you like to start with the role or would you like me to introduce myself?
We can start with the role.
All right. Ozzy Carter.
Yes, I represent East County, and this is my 3rd year on CAB, and I'm planning on continuing this journey.
Latanya Thompson.
Here, West County.
Raina Moore.
Here, I represent East County. This is my 1st year on CAB.
And Raina Hurley.
Here, I represent West County and I've been on CAB a few months.
Quorum is established. Members are present.
Thank you. Can we now introduce our staff?
Yes, my name is Garyana Youngblood and I am here with the ORJ. Would you like me to call the folks on Zoom or would we like to introduce the staff in the room?
Could we have the staff in the room, please?
I'm Denise Zabkevich. I'm with the Office of Reentry and Justice.
And I'm Jill Ray with the Office of Supervisor Candace Anderson. Cab member.
Nicole Green, CAP member. Sorry.
Thank you. I think now we'll move to other individuals that are within the boardroom. And then we'll move to those who are on Zoom.
Yes, Jenna Evans, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Janet Evans, Lead Reentry Transition Specialist, Office of Education.
Michael Pitts,
Yeah, good morning, Michael Pitts, case manager with Health Right 360 Reentry Network.
and Amani.
My name is Amani. I am part of the Safe Return Project Richard Boyd Fellowship. I am shadowing with Raina Moore.
That's everybody on Zoom, Ozzy.
Thank you. Could we now have introductions from those who are in the room?
Cynthia Zavala with Center Force Program Manager, Family Reunification.
Anthony Rivera, Center Force Family Reunification.
Annette Corvo, Center Force West Program Manager.
Thank you. And now moving on for announcements. Are there any announcements in the room?
Ozzy, I wanted to provide you with a brief update on where we are with the CAB in custody study. Or the survey. I'm not sure if it's agendized. I don't believe that it is. But as many of you, or a good number of you, have maybe heard where we are with this. We were able to gather data from just under 100 individuals who are in custody and got some very rich data, I believe. We're not fully completed with our report, but the analysis has been done. And there's some, some not so striking findings surrounding the need for housing, which is the most critical need that remains. Employment is also the second most critical need. So those are no surprises for us. We did find that in the questions surrounding learning disabilities, that there was a good proportion of individuals that struggled with a learning disability. And when I presented these brief results yesterday to our Quality Assurance Committee, Suzanne Tavano pointed out that it's very challenging to conduct a diagnostic on a learning disability, and what part of this is actual, what do we call it, more of a cognitive issue, or what part of it is more of a literacy issue. We can't speak to that, but what I can say is that the literacy level of the individuals that responded to us is very low. So there's going to be learning challenges, whether it's a diagnostic kind of learning challenge or just a general literacy issue among the population. And it was fairly high. It's slightly higher than the mental health challenges. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that individuals really felt that they wanted and felt like they needed more in custody programmatic engagement. And that is something for a broad range of different topic areas. But that's what they were looking for. They're ready, they want it. But they'd like to see it from the standpoint of setting themselves up for employment, but also there were they want programs that they say just flat out, I want a program to keep me out of here. I don't want to come back. And so they're looking for those kinds of services before they re-enter the community. So I see a lot of this makes sense. There should be nothing here. Then it sounds like that is a surprise Jana, I hope, you had asked about the report. I'm finalizing it now, and we're gonna have a full presentation prepared. Probably by the end of the year, given the holidays and, the workflow that we have right now. But you will, get a copy of it and be made available to everybody. Once we're done, we're just trying to, wrap up the recommendations and align them with the other recommendations that have come through the provider survey. Does anybody have any questions? Welcome back. It's so good to see you. It's so good to see you.
It's good to be seen, actually.
I believe it.
I was kind of leery for a few days.
Yeah, well, it's really terrific to see you. You look
Well,
fantastic.
thank you. I feel fantastic
Good.
considering you all. But
Yeah, you've been through.
one of my question is concerning the demographics as far as male and female. I understand that there's a lower percentage of women, and I just kind of wanted the number so that we can have further discussion
One woman,
on women.
Wow.
one woman.
Okay.
Everybody had the opportunity to participate. I don't know a lot more about why it would be that we had disproportionate representation of women. Next time we do this, we'll do it a little differently. We also had some bumps in the road as it relates to the questions. Because of the literacy level of the population, the way the questions were shaped, they were not able to identify and critically evaluate 3 of their most important needs. So some people just went down and put numbers through everything. Some people just checked off what they wanted. So that question wasn't.
The question I have is what is, did you say what the percentage of the male population that responded versus female population? Because I know it's a smaller female population.
Oh, in
In our
custody?
detention
Yeah,
center.
I don't know what
So
that
that would
is.
be good to know.
To know in relation, absolutely.
Same,
It's-
right, percentage of responses.
Well, I bet I bet we have more than 1% because basically we had 1 out of 99.
How many males
9
responded?
Yes, 97.
97, so by a percentage of in custody, that may not be too far off percentage wise to have only 1 female response.
So I hear you saying that you believe that we have of the detention population, only 1% is female?
No, that's not what I said. I just said, it's not 50-50. You don't have.
No, it's not.
50% Men, 50% women.
That's right.
How many men are in detention average daily versus how many women?
Right.
And then the responses, but 97 responses, what percentage of the total population is that versus 1 woman? What is it? Percentage
Right.
of the population. Of
And I'm
females?
I'm
So that's
flipping
what
it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I'm flipping it the other way to say that of the survey respondents, less than 1%.
Right. Yeah, so I wasn't saying anything.
So-
I was just asking a question.
Yeah, I haven't done, yeah, I don't know what that is.
So that would be good to know.
We can certainly get that from the ADP. Mhm. Yeah.
Just across all 3, like,
Yes,
All the detention facilities.
but there's only women in Martinez. Yes, no, West County. There's only
Okay.
women in West County.
Is that, yeah,
Yeah. You have a separate, yeah.
a separate unit there? Okay. I can follow up and get that for you, Jill. Absolutely.
It would just be good to put with the results.
Okay.
So that, you know, a goal could be set to increase participation or something, right?
I thought there was 1 module in Martinez that did house women.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mental health,
Okay.
a small,
Okay.
small number of.
Ozzy, Jenna, do you still have a question? Never mind. Jenna lowered her hand.
Appreciate your input and we'll get this out to you as soon as we can.
Just to add to that, before I got here, I downloaded some information to reentry, so I could finally kind of like wrap my head around how many individuals were actually in custody. I did pull some information in January of 2016. And it has a total of, just to give some parameters as far as in custody, there were 1,490 individuals in custody. And there was, the demographics included Latino, Hispanic, Black, African American, and white individuals. There was 86% men, 14% women, and it gives a breakdown of how many days per the average length of stay. So I couldn't find any more numbers.
Yeah, we have more recent, and that's way off because since the pandemic, the numbers aren't nearly that high
Yeah.
on an average daily. And I'll pull them up and I'll share them with you.
Okay, thank
Because
you.
there's been more recent reports.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I
couldn't
know.
find it. It was
I
just
know.
like
Yeah.
going through
Yeah.
2 or 3 sets of encyclopedias. Thank you. So moving
Ozzy?
along. Yes.
Jenna has her hand raised.
She
Yes.
probably has the numbers.
Jenna.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to share real quick, looking at today's list, there's average of about 1,300, but that's not just in custody. Those are people who are on work alternative program as well as ankle monitors. But that's a rough total of everybody. It would take me too long to tell you exactly who's in a facility, but that's just a rough number for today, 1,300, including in custody, ankle monitors and work programs.
Which a large number of people are on alternative custody.
A very large number, yes.
Thank you, Jenna. Moving along, do we have any other, I think we were at announcements. Okay, moving on to public comment on any item under the jurisdiction of the Community Advisory Board that's not on this agenda. Hearing none, we'll move on for the approval of minutes from the October 19th, 2023 CAB Program and Services Subcommittee meeting. And that's on attachment pages 4 through 6. Looking for a motion and a second.
Ms. Rena Moore, I call for a motion to approve the minutes from the October 19th CAB Programs and Services meeting.
This is Latonya Thompson. I second the motion.
Ozzy, would you like me to take a vote?
Please. Thank you.
All in favor of approval of the October 19th Programs and Services minutes? Please raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Hey, very good. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4. To discuss and review the gaps in service from our CBO providers. Is there any comment from the board members? Gaps that we'd like to discuss?
I think we would have to actually identify the services and then to be able to identify which ones that actually overlap. And then to also confirm that the services that we have are still being provided by the agencies providing. That would be helpful.
So what is our due diligence as far as retrieving that information that those?
The most effective way may be to reach out to them via email. These are the services that we have. Please add or delete anyone that we have not actually captured. And then we could take it, create a spreadsheet, and then determine which ones are overlapped, and which ones are actually coming out of the AB 109 funds, or if this is something that they provide outside of 109.
That's an option to reach out to our CBOs, all of them, and get a running list of each one, and then, as you said, create a spreadsheet to kind of identify the gap.
Yeah, because I would hate for us to create a spreadsheet based off what we believe that they actually provide and they don't provide it. And then yeah, so that we're clear and that it's coming from them, that we said, this is what we believe you actually provide, and they can say yes or nay if what we have captured is actually correct.
That's a good idea. So, how about
Yeah, I agree. That's a great idea.
So we can decide if we just want to send it out, if one person wants to send them out and capture all of the information, or if we want to double back with the ones we've actually began to create a relationship with by going out to the facility or having a meeting via Zoom. And I'm not sure if all of them were captured once we had divided them up.
I see Nicole Green's hand.
Yes, it's not really a question, it's just to share, and that idea is actually awesome. Really happy to hear you guys doing that. And also just wanted to note from a policy and budget standpoint, we're going to also do the same thing to capture the services from a county program standpoint, which will collaborate with your spreadsheet so that we can get a broader picture of what is being covered for AB 109, as well as like within the county, what other programs out there are, you know, touching our population as well. So I'm really excited to see the work that you all are doing and happy to hear it. So just wanted to say, that's an awesome idea. That's it.
Thank you for that. And with that, I'd like to Garyana, thank you for coming and unmuting. The question is whether or not you heard our discussion around obtaining information from our CBOs relative to what they're providing and what they're not providing, so that we at some juncture will be able to provide a spreadsheet where we can actually review those specifics. Is that something that we can ask that ORJ send out those emails?
Yeah, we can definitely support with creating a list of like the CBOs providers and their services. I also wanted to add, I think this agenda item was here to discuss and review the CBO presentations that you guys were a part of, to see if there's any gaps in those presentations that they identified as. And that can also be a starting place for you to identify the services and who does what for the county.
Thank you. So with that being said, going back.
Sorry, Ozzy, and Jenna has her hand raised.
Yes, thank you. Jenna.
Yeah, I just want to make a suggestion under, I know on some of the things, the questions are being asked about, do you provide in custody services? If you ask that question, would you guys actually have them list what they're providing? Because I think we're also going to find a lot of overlap of who's doing what in custody, which is causing a lot of confusion among people in custody, knowing who's the point person, who's going to help them. We'll go see them, and then someone else will go see them, and then they're completely confused before they leave. So if we can streamline and find out who all is doing what, that will also help us better coordinate all of the in-custody services to avoid confusing the people that are getting ready for release.
Thank you, Janet.
This is Tanya. We should also add like what part of the county is being serviced. So if they're doing East County, but not West County, that we capture that information. So the county information is going to be important.
So what I'm hearing is that when we have to be specific in what we're asking for CBOs to include. So maybe we need to have some conversation around that in addition to.
Yeah, have conversation on what needs to be captured in the email, just so that we can ensure we're asking all of the questions without having to send out a second email to get additional information.
We want to brainstorm that.
We can brainstorm because we can't have a conversation outside of here.
Okay, correct. So with that being said, we're going to take a moment to kind of brainstorm some of the information that we would like to request. As LaTanya mentioned, we don't want to have to go back and create a second email because there's things that we didn't, it's not being captured initially, which definitely we have time constraints as we're wrapping this year up, and we really want to, have we want to hit the ground running for the new year and want to have some things in place because this work that's being done, we want to capitalize off of the energy and the momentum that we have because we have a team here that's really coming to the plate and really wanting to see some changes and really, investing that time and energy. So we definitely want to get it right on the first, as close to right, which is, there's no perfection, but we definitely want to be inclusive of those things. So we're going to take a few minutes to kind of like maybe jot down a couple of things, each one of us, that we'd like to include, or questions.
I think, yeah, we could start off that way and then open it up because we have a couple of people here from the agency. So they may also have some information that would be helpful. And then as well as the people that are on Zoom, they may know based off the surveys, like what we should do, make sure we're wording it correctly so that it's not misconstrued on what we're actually asking for. To start off, we would need the name of the agency. Contact person's name. Their contact information such as either and phone number.
Also,
The area that
Area,
the area that
county.
their area service.
service. Would include not only where they're situated, but how far they reach throughout the county.
Yes.
Each specifics.
To ask the in custody services that they're providing is very important.
I'm sorry.
To the in custody service that they're actually providing for those that's in custody.
We also ask what percentage of male and females they serve as well.
It should be broken down by gender or the demographic.
Okay, so do we have any, I'm gonna read this, so that you can also chime in if there's something that we've overlooked, haven't included. Also, those that are on Zoom, the things that we've come up with thus far to be included in the outgoing email is that each community-based organization definitely first has to provide their agency name, the contact person, specifically, hopefully, now this is a tricky, if the contact person is not the person who's actually providing the information, that could be another secondary person, correct?
They can, I mean, as long as someone is knowledgeable of what service they provide, that's fine. We just want to make sure that we know who to contact. Especially when we have different agencies come out to present. It was helpful to have the names and contact information. Last time we went through Patrice because we wasn't getting a response, and it could have been because we didn't have the correct contact person. And then to have a direct number or email so that we can bypass going through what the general population would use.
Okay, that's feasible. So the agency name, contact person, their name, email, and phone number. The third item would be their area of service, their specifics, area meaning what part of the county that they reside, their place of outreach, and what other areas that they service should be included. Also, whether or not they provide in-custody service. It should also be included that they provide within their demographics, gender, and services that they provide in other languages. And we're still open for any other suggestions.
We would also need out custody services.
You're also asking what services they provide in custody, and also what services they provide in the community. Question.
Outside, so when they are in custody and then once they're released from custody, what services that your agency provides, just so that we're clear if the services are in and out of custody or just one or the other.
Is there anything else that we need to include, Nicole?
Just a suggestion, but it's up to you all. What about asking if there's any service collaborations that they do with other partners? Because although they may not be located in a certain county and or provide services within that county, a lot of our CBOs have partnerships as well as contracts with other providers that they may be referring to. So also just connecting those dots to see if they're collaborating with anybody else.
Thank you. That's really crucial. As well, collaboration.
Outside of the agencies that we currently use.
What other agencies, even if we utilize their,
Right.
I think who they're collaborating with, even within Contra Costa County, our
So-
other community-based organizations as well.
So my question is, are we trying to figure out within the agencies we already identify if they're collaborating with one another, or if they have other agencies outside of the ones that we have knowledge of that they're collaborating with to ensure that their client needs are met?
So the
Can you clarify?
Yeah, so it was the tie-in with your overall question. So you're asking them what their contact, what county they serve, or programs, if they services in or out of custody, right? So their reply may be, it could be a yes or no, but the question is, some providers may reply and say, yes, they're providing the service within a certain county, but they're not. They're actually collaborating with someone else. So answer that question. Do you collaborate with another CBO or do you collaborate with another county partner? So you have to really dig deep, because if you ask the question, are you providing this service, for example, in West? They may say yes, but they're really not. They're actually subcontracted with someone else to provide that service. So have them identify, if you're, I didn't not only say, am I providing a service in that county, but am I working with someone else to provide that service? To actually get that question answered. Am I making sense? Am I, hopefully I've clarified it in the right way.
I got clarity.
And it's just a suggestion. I'm just here to be a spectator from the side.
I think that's very good, because for me, I'm not well entrenched into the community-based organizations and the services. So any the information goes in depth. Yes, I didn't know that specifically their organizations, they provide services. Yes, they say that, RFP, they provide it, but they're actually contracting it to someone else. But they're claiming, yes, we provide that, although someone else is actually executing that part of their contract.
Mhm.
And I think that's something we as a program of services, we really need to know, because it gives us a full advantage so that we can see the gaps, so we can really, we're not trying to police them, we're just trying to better understand the services and how they're being served across the board.
I think it's helpful because as I think about like employment, so are you actually helping them find jobs? Are you helping with the resumes? Are you giving them job skills? Or are you simply referring them to a outside provider, right? So you're not actually even providing service. You're pretty much you're doing a referral. The same thing with housing, like, are you actually housing them? Or are you working with, Richmond Rescue Mission, right? So I think we need to, like, when we ask a question, we have to be clear about what we're asking so that we're not assuming that they're providing a service when all they are referred to an outside or inside agency.
Absolutely, I concur.
Another example.
List of partnering agencies. We have a list of partnering agencies that refer your clients to.
Yeah, but we're trying to figure out if they're actually providing a service or if they're actually referring a service, because those are gonna be two different things.
So say for instance,
I say that I provide employment, but I don't actually provide employment, I refer them to Rubicon.
Oh,
So it may look like we're overlapping when we're not overlapping, I'm simply handing them off. So we need to,
Yeah.
that's the reason why we're trying to,
referral.
yeah, so we're trying to get clear, because it may look like 5 people are doing employment when 4 people are just referring to one company, one agency.
Another example, I can just jump in there, you know, for the gender specific, AOD. One of the program that Annette manages, she case manages the women in custody coming out, and she often will refer them to a treatment program. At the same time, continuing to case manage them until they've completed, and then once they get, released.
Right.
She's involved in a lot of the AOD programs.
Yeah, and then the SL as well. It's, and I may refer them to it's Rubicon or whatever, but they're still on my case load. So I'm still working with them why they're doing that, and I'm helping to ask.
Is there any more discussion on item number 4? And number 5, you basically had some input from earlier. And we can move on to item number 6.
So we do have a starting point, I'm sorry, we do have a starting point for a couple of the agencies and some of the services that they provide. So if I could just have 1 minute to go back quickly. Sure. So the agencies that we had was the Reentry Success Center, Bay Area Legal, Center for Lao, Health Right 360, Man or Woman of Purpose, and Rubicon. Some of the services that we're actually looking at was behavioral health, legal services with ID, healthcare, employment services, coaching, transportation, financial literacy, parenting, family services, tech support, housing, women's services, homelessness, drug, alcohol, education, vocational training, mentorship, and in custody service. And I can't show you guys, but at a quick glance, a lot of them were overlapping. And I think they're not all providing the service. I think that they are referring to one another. So we do have a starting point. So these are some of the questions that we will ask. And then on there, we will ask if we have listed to clarify if you're actually providing the service or if you're actually referring it to either another agency in CBO or outside. But those are the things that we're looking at. And so to your point, even as a case management portion, you're going to continue to manage the case, but then you're going to touch bases with all the other agencies to ensure that those needs are being met. But basically what you're providing is case management. You're not providing really the employment portion of it. You are collaborating with another agency.
Great.
Ozzy, just a comment. I sent a copy of this to you, Nicole, who was on there, Latanya, myself. We had worked on that in the absence, so you will now get a copy of it. We'll your email, you have it now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Work makes the dream work. Okay, so our next item on our agenda is discuss alternatives strategies to increase engagement for women incarcerated. Attachment 2.
And then if I could just jump into the original question that last, into the female incarcerated. So according to the last sheriff's quarterly report, the average daily population in our detention system is 901. That's within the walls. Our detention system is not alternative custody. And I just have that from the sheriff. That the average female population of that is anywhere between 9 and 11%, or 7 and 11. Today it's 9. Approximately 90 females within the walls.
Females.
And I just clarified whether that's within the walls or also including alternative custody type. But let's just say it's within the walls.
So one of the things, well, first of all, we have attachment 2. This is from Center Force West.
Yes. Hey, Ozzy. Yeah, we
Yes.
invited representatives from Centerforce to collaborate on this agenda item to get their feedback on ways we can increase engagement amongst women incarcerated, so they do have a stronger so we do hear from them more to see if that does affect our survey results.
Okay, thank you. So with that being said,
To increase our engagement, is that what we're talking about?
I think what you're gonna do is talk about your program. The services you can provide, is that what you're asking?
Wait, because
I thought increase engagement.
Yes, clarity on what it is.
Was
You
it
need.
increasing engagement? Is that what we were talking?
yes, how and what kind of strategies that we can come up with in order to increase the engagement? Because specifically, with only one individual that's actually responding to a survey. I believe in a recent board meeting, there was some discussion as far as the logistics of where the women are situated and whether or not someone was able to take the surveys to them. But you know, how can we really engage the women? From my vantage point, and I think it's probably an implicit bias on my part, and I can really attest to that and stand firm on that. When I was in custody, there were always, women were always secondary to get the messages.
Yes.
Men were always on task. There was ever any implementation of change. It was always the men who enacted it, and there was a trickle down effect. The women would always get the left.
Right.
So I'm just wanting to know how the system is constructed now with the women, specifically for those who are actually going inside and having conversations with the women and knowing the logistics and knowing the environment, knowing the temperature, you know, temperature meaning how receptive are the women to even communicate their needs and how that's reciprocated and what really goes on.
Yeah.
So I was trying to, when I got the email, that was the question. So, I mean, I get referrals from Health Right 360. I'm subcontracted to them. From Jana, I get referrals as well. But that was a good question. My understanding was pre-pandemic, there was more orientations where, and I wasn't working at that point, but where the program manager would go in and work in jails to do orientations. Or or not orientations, but a different. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Thank you. Presentations. Thank you. Yeah, every single week. But post-pandemic, the landscape's changed. So we had to kind of create a different way of doing things. And so my idea right now is to get the people that have release dates, getting those every Monday. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, since there's not a lot of women in there, I'm going to go ahead and touch each woman. I'm gonna meet with them and see if they qualify for my program. I work in Central and East Contra Costa County. Now, they are in West Contra Costa in treatment, I can work with them. Because most likely, if they're going back to an SLE, it's gonna be in Central or East Contra Costa. That is a great area I can work in. But I would like to touch them, each of them, by going in and saying, hey, this is what I do. Are you interested in services? And finding out what their needs are. And usually they're pretty receptive, to me. I've been there, done that, so I get it. I was in the Center for West program myself, so I know how it feels to be getting out and not knowing what you're gonna do. So if I can help process through it, and if they're interested in meeting with them a few times before they get out, that would be my goal. And then, I would like that seamless. I'd love a transition from that into whether it be in treatment or whether it be to the SLE, that seamless, because there's that gap there. Where it's like they go from here, it's like, okay, now it stops. What do we do? They come out homeless and then they're going to reoffend, they're going to go back to all that stuff. So, I would like to work with them, like I said, why they're in custody.
Just hypothetically, and I know it's not a guarantee, different timeframes. What number of times basically do you find that you interact with it? I know that their days are different, their expenses are different, when they go and when they go to court, everything is different. But say, for example, there's a person there maybe for a petty offense or whatever, going to court. How many times do you think you might have an interaction with this person? Just actually having this physical eye-to-eye contact with one person.
If I'm going to the jail, West County, I meet with all my women at the same time, not at the same time, but individually. So I'd like 2 or 3. Sometimes it's only 1. It really depends on how quick the transition is in and out. And it may not be, and if I get the referral, that's priority, is West County's priority in my contract. So it's like when I also get the referral, I'm usually there the next day. And I find out, I'd like to meet with them. This is just my goal as for myself, is that, when they have that release date, I'm grabbing them first. The earliest, the ones that are going to be released quicker, I want to grab them first. Also, if they have a release date, I would like to, if they're not involved with GPS, I would like to talk with them. If they're interested in my program, also getting involved with GPS before they leave, because I think it's going to help for an easier transit.
So I have a question. So I know we said that there's approximately 90 ladies that's in custody and that you're gonna try to reach all of them. And I know that you deal with in a certain area as far as, so I just want to be clear, like out of the 90, what is the percentage that you believe would be someone that needs your service that you provide? And for those that don't need the service you provide, what would be the next step for them? Because I don't want to walk away with us believing that you're going to handle every woman in custody and when they may not need your service. And then that's where the gap is. And we're saying, oh no, we have Center Force doing this. And Center Force is like, oh no, out of the 90, only 30% are interested or qualified for the service we provide. And the other 70% have fallen through the gaps.
So first of all, I don't believe in saying, I'm sorry, you don't qualify, walk away. I don't believe in that. If they don't qualify for my program, then I would like to just reach out to men, women of purpose. Other programs that they would qualify for, Reentry Success Center, I would like to reach out to them to collaborate, say, hey, you know what, I have somebody in custody that needs to be seen by you. I don't believe in just walking away.
Okay, and what I was really trying to get clarification is that the 70% was not accounted for, believing that all of them needs were being met. So if you're going to reach out to Men and Women Purpose, and what was the other agency?
Maybe Reentry Success Center, if they're going back to West County, those would be the two that I would probably reach out to and just say, hey, you know, there's somebody in custody, or I'd reach out to actually to Jana so she can reach out to them.
Okay, and do we know offhand if Reentry Success and Men and Women Purpose are only handling a service area or if they're doing all of Contra Costa? Because again, I think this is where the gap is taking place. If they're only doing West County, then they're not being serviced in another county, and then there's another gap where the need is not being met. And I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to make sure when we send out the emails that we capture everything and we're not assuming.
So, your question was, do we know if Men and Women Purpose are in East County? Is that what we were?
Men and Women of Purpose and Reentry Success, are they servicing all of Contra Costa or only a portion? And have we identified, like, this is the population that you would service? This is the population that Reentry Success will service based off the in custody or out custody need. And this is the population that Men and Women of Purpose. Because then it may appear that we have 3 people overlapping when they're not overlapping. It is that we're handing them off because we don't provide that service.
I think the difference is that I only work with women. No, I only work with women. Yes, I believe that. I think Men and Women of Purpose are also East County, but I only work with women. I also there's the service. I mean what I provide. I think there's a difference because I'm in all 4 of the treatment facilities.
Okay.
I also work with them in inpatient, outpatient. I work with trying to help them to find an SLE if they need an SLE. I'm helped to process through. I meet them every week and help to process through whatever they're going through. What do I do to help them? How can we help you stay clean and sober? You know, I process through stuff while they're in treatment. You know, so they know that they're not alone when they are pre and post relief, when they get out, let's say they go to treatment, I'm there for them. When they get out of treatment, I'm there for them. My program is at least a year. If they need me a little longer than a year, that's fine. I also will attend court dates with them. If there are CFS involved, I'll also work on that piece with them. I support in that journey. And that also I'll be referring them to the Center for Family Unification Program as well. So I do the full rounded.
Okay. So it would be to our benefit if there's anybody that's in custody, getting ready to be released, that have a controlled substance challenge going on, that we hand them over to you because you can deal with the being clean and sober and then make sure that they touch everything else. even though reentry, success, or men and women purpose may provide other services, we want to make sure that they stay clean and sober so that they don't increase their chances of going back.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's really important because walking out of the jail cell, you're feeling alone. You don't know where to start. It's very anxiety provoking. Knowing that you have somebody on your side that will walk right beside you, I think is beneficial. It was for myself personally. Else I probably would have reoffended. And I know it is for them because I understand the feelings that are going through their head and what they're feeling and then I know that they don't do not want to reoffend. They do not want to go back to substances again. They just don't know how to start. By working with them inside and knowing that they have somebody on their side, whether inside, and the importance of when they walk out. Beneficial.
Okay. No, it makes sense because now I can put you more as a case manager. Management is what you do, but specifically for anyone that wants to stay clean and sober, we reduce our chances of them re-entering if we can put them in your hand versus someone else's hand that says, I deal with women. Yes, you do, but we have someone who specializes in dealing with women who are incarcerated or being released who want to stay clean and sober.
Right. I mean, there's something to be said about peer-to-peer support. There really is.
Yes. Okay. That now it makes sense to me. Like now I know exactly. Like if someone is not wants to stay clean and sober, I don't care how many other agencies are providing it. Right. My first point of contact would be you because it would be in the best interest of the inmates, in my opinion.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ozzy, we had 3 people who have their hands raised, starting with Jenna, Nicole, and then Michael.
Hey, go ahead.
Just wanted to make a quick addition to what Annette was saying when she talked about the orientations that used to happen. Those were actually game plan for success orientations for new participants in the old model that we would intake people into our program. We would have a weekly orientation. It would rotate between each building. And we would give them all of the ins and outs of GPS, and we would have partners there. So the Success Center would have someone there some days, Center Force would be there some days, AOD would be there some days, the network would be there some days. So they would get to see people right away who would potentially be helping them when they leave. And then when COVID hit, we went to almost 2 years with no in-person here in the jail. So we had to shift how we did intakes and orientations. Right now we are back to doing orientations when we have a group of people who are wanting to sign up at the same time for GPS. Otherwise, we do individual meetings because we don't want to make them wait until there's a group of people. We would rather start serving them right away. So that's where the orientations came about, and that's how they were coming in. I do schedule everybody for presentations in the jail, the Reentry Network, the Reentry Success Center, the Center Force, Family Reunification, Women's Services, MWP. We schedule them all between Nicole and I at both Marsh Creek and West County to come in and speak to folks so that they can understand what their services are. And then just the last thing before I head out, because I'm actually going to go talk to some folks about joining GPS. Right now, the women have Deuce, computers, MC3, pre-apprenticeship, parenting, independent study, which is academics, either working on their basic skills, their high school equivalency, or their diplomas. And then they have groups with men and women of purpose. Those that are with Center Force have individual meetings. And then we are in there as well, having meetings with them once they're a part of our program. And we send outreach letters. Whenever we get the new list that Annette was talking about, we get a new release list. And so we send in letters saying we're game plan for success. We know you have a release date. Please come and join our program. And then once they do, we refer directly to whoever the service provider is going to be. So we use the hub system when we give referrals for people that are in GPS. So if they're going to West County, they get referred to the center. And if they're going to Central or East, they get referred to Health Right. But if they're female, they get referred to Center Force. So that's how we start with the hubs, making sure they know who's coming their way. They can come in and see them. And then we will also refer for the other services. If they need family reunification, we'll refer for that. If they want Rubicon employment, we'll refer for that. So we'll make the additional referrals. We just always refer to the hubs first.
Nicole, did you still have something to add to the discussion?
Nope, Jana covered it all. The only other piece I was going to add, I know there was a question for Annette about Men and Women of Purpose as well as Reentry Success Center. And I think part of your questionnaire that you all mentioned earlier, maybe ask that question in there. Because I know there is a process with RSC, although that they're not established in East or Central. RSC is part of Rubicon, right? So they have programs that are seated in West, Central, and East. And part of their process when they were put together was to, individuals that are residing at the West County Jail are to refer them to the partners in those areas. So that may be something to add to your questionnaire, to have RSC kind of really break down that process for you all to help identify those gaps when it comes to women and men. So that's the last piece I'll add to that. But Jana covered it. Thank you, Jana.
Michael Pitts, did you have a comment?
Yes. So, well, Jana did cover part of what I wanted to talk about, because Jess, I know that the board has some questions kind of about the regionality, and that is what the framework is right now with the whole reentry piece. So I know the question was asked, is that I know Center Force West, as well as the reentry network, we are Central and East Contra Costa County. That's the area that we were working with. So folks that are returning from that area, those areas, those are the folks that are getting referred to us. For folks that are returning to the West, I find myself saying quite a bit, and I hope there's some other providers that say the same thing, is that when I hear they're in the West and they're connected with the Reentry Success Center, first thing out of my mouth is, oh, well, you know what? You're in good hands. Those are the people that are going to handle you and are aware of what all the resources are in the West. So even with the idea of Center Force and the net going in, the focus is still going to be on Central and East County people that are returning to that area. And then going back to kind of the numbers with 90, I know it was discussed earlier that some of those people are on ankle monitor, so they're not actually in custody, and a certain amount of those folks may be just in there for a short period of time, pop in, and wouldn't actually be somebody that would be connected with. So and then also just the idea that hopefully this committee is getting the idea that perhaps that there are gaps we're trying to fill, but there is contact and folks working with the female population. Also, just to know that every female who's referred to the network for services, that goes directly to me, because I'm the liaison with Center Force, who is our subcontractor. So I would say high 90% of women who are referred, that they actually are moved on to work with Center Force. The network itself has very few actually women on our caseload, because most of them we move on to Center Force. And actually, more often than not, I'll get a referral for someone. This just happened last week. We'll get a referral, follow up, go to the jail, to talk to them and find out that, well, they're already been referred or they're already on Center Force's caseload. And so then we defer to their expertise with the gender specific caseload management.
Are there any other questions, comments?
I have a question. So I'm incarcerated, how would I go about getting a referral from Upright 360 or for, how would I go about getting engaged with services?
Well,
Like I said,
is that for me?
whomever wants to answer. I was just wondering, like, so if I'm in custody, how would I get a referral to get to these services? Like,
Well,
it's based on my.
I'm sorry.
I can answer from a GPS standpoint, or if Michael want to answer. Oh, Jana's still here. I mean, I know Jana has to walk
Go
away.
ahead,
Michael,
Nicole.
so from a game plan for success standpoint, from what Jana said earlier, we look at the release, the document that shows individual to release that on a weekly basis or a daily basis. And for those individuals, we then will send you a request to invite you to participate in Game Plan for Success. After our initial intake and assessment with you, if we realize that you're going over to East County, we identify what your needs are, we would then refer you to all of the county partners, which include Health Right 360. So any of our partners that have services in reference to East County and or Central, we would then submit a referral over to them for in-custody engagement. They would then come and meet with each of the individuals, and that include women and men, to discuss the services that they need. And we also do that for West County. For those, and Michael could probably elaborate on that, but for those that do not participate within Game Plan for Success, they do receive referrals from other partners. And I'll let Michael talk about that. But that's how we, for in-custody services, get them connected to programs like Health Right 360. And you can also write us too. So if you hear about us in the inside, you can write to Game Plan for Success. Some of them write to us and say, hey, we have a lot of people that write and say, can you send Michael and them in? They'll hear about it in the inside. We will then pass that over to whatever the provider is and say, so-and-so in custody wants to see you, and they'll come in. And then Michael, you can add on to where else the other part.
And I got to say, I don't know if saying one of the benefits of the shutdown for the pandemic, but maybe folks can help me find a better word for that. But since the pandemic, it appears that everything's kind of been, a lot of the referrals and all of the information with participants has been really done on the front end. So GPS, if they have them, that's why it's important for folks to have a release date, is because if you're doing transition planning, you need to kind of know when that transition is going to begin. But those folks generally have really a game plan and a map for when they get out with, and are often referred to a lot of agencies, us involved as well. And then also we do get referrals from probation as well for the female participants. And then folks can self-refer us, as Nicole said, too. So we'll get jail requests, letters to asking us to interact with them.
Thank you. Thank you.
And a lot of it also comes from people in custody's word of mouth. So maybe I'll have like a couple clients and they'll talk to their people, get in touch with her so that they will maybe reach out to Jana and say, hey, can you get it? Even though they don't have a release date, this person wants to release it, and I'll go.
Yeah, it's great that you guys are in the jails because when I was incarcerated and stuff like that, on the module, there was never any pamphlets for any reentry type services, and there was nobody at that time, several years ago, working inside the jails either. So I didn't have any information. I didn't know there were reentry services out there and stuff like that. So it's great that you guys are in the jails.
Is there any other questions, comments for Center Force West before we move on? In none? Okay, so the next action step is the next steps. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the information that we discussed today to create the outline of what will be actually on the spreadsheet that will go out to the different agencies. I'll bring it back next week for us, not next week, next month for us to overview, make any last minute changes, corrections before we send them out. I'm visual, so as we were talking, I realized that if we don't ask the correct questions in the correct way, that there will be a gap. So not only do we need to know the service that you provide, but like your area of specialty, and then like more details about what you cover to ensure that no one falls through the cracks, gaps. So thank you so much for sharing that information. It allowed me to know that I need to fine tune the questions that we have that we have agreed upon. Are there any additional comments, announcements before we move on? If not, we will adjourn the meeting.
LaTanya, I would just like to point out a correction. The next meeting is not December 19th. It will be December 21st.
Okay, thank you.
And Michael has his hand raised.
Okay, Michael.
Hey, I would like to respectfully submit to the committee that I know some of the questions that you're asking, that all that information is in ORJ. So I know you guys asked us to come, each of the agency come and kind of present as to what we do. I know there was some comments and questions earlier about who's doing caseload management and who's specifically providing the services directly. All that information is right down the hallway. So I wouldn't want you folks to have to just kind of reinvent or search for information that's already there.
Would it speak to the areas that may be a gap that we would need to actually fine tune the questions? And would it also provide us the contact person's name and separate the services from in custody and out custody?
It should. Well, I mean, I understand the little nuances maybe specific when you said you're looking for gaps, but when I believe there was a question earlier about who's providing direct services, caseload management, referring, regional, some of the questions about the region, all that is basically, like I said, with ORJ, with the descriptors and what the expectation is for each of the CBOs under the contract.
Okay, so we can probably use them as a starting point, but we would still need to know like what service they don't provide when they are actually collaborating with another agency and when they're collaborating with someone else, so that we understand like what's being handed off and who's being handed off to. But thank you so much. So we can definitely use that as a starting point. Any other comments? Announcements? If not, we will adjourn our meeting. The next meeting is on December 21st. Thank you.